Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. That was, I believe I was accidentally doing an Irish jig. Yeah, I didn't intend on it to turn out that way. I should rehearse. Hola! ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Muy bien? Muy bien. Yeah, too. And, Gesundheit. And, happy Cinco de Mayo to you, which, if you don't know, Cinco de Mayo is the 5th of May. That's, and soup du jour is soup of the day. And I like to inform. So Cinco de Mayo today, I did some research because I don't want to talk about something I don't know nothing about. You know, that's how I am. So I don't want to celebrate it. You know, who knows? So what it is, because I did some research. Again, I don't do nothing that I don't do nothing. I'm working on a monologue about nuclear fission, and I don't know anything about the nuclear fission yet. So anyway, so the Cinco de Mayo is it's not Mexican Independence Day, which I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. Did you think it was? It's not. That's September 16th. Cinco de Mayo is, again, the 5th of May, and soup du jour is soup of the day. But it is, what happened was the Mexican army defeated the French at Pueblo in 1862, even though they were outnumbered. And who doesn't want to celebrate that? So I don't know what the French were doing in Mexico. If you're homeschooling, I'm pretty sure they were at spring break. And the French were trying to convince the Mexicans to wear the Speedos that they enjoy so much. And then a war broke out. So I believe that little troublemaker Napoleon had something to do with it. You know, the Napoleon guy, you know, remember he had his hand in his jacket all the time like that? And again, if you're homeschooling, the reason is for that is he was hiding a taco in his coat. Wouldn't share it, refused to share it. And who can blame them? They're delicious. So I like the taco, although the sharp shells, when you bite into it, sometimes will just cut the roof of your mouth, those shells of the taco, if you've had that happen. And if you have hot sauce, then the hot sauce goes into the cut on the top of your mouth, which is why you need to disinfect it with tequila. And please, homeschoolers, don't tell your parents what I've told you. But like they say in Mexico, put your hands in the air and wave them around like you just don't care. I remind you again that the audience dances before the show starts, before I walk out here. There's music playing. The audience, we don't egg them on. They just want to dance. Everybody is dancing is a good thing. So they just, and we love it. The more you let loose, the more we love it. And so here's some of our favorites from last week. Let's take a look at her. This, of course, is a kind of a Ricky Lake bobblehead thing going on. And here, she's dancing responsibly. She's checking her pulse. She looks a little bit like Rosie O'Donnell with blonde hair, I think. And there is the church lady from Saturday Night Live, I believe, right here. Why isn't that special? And this woman here decides, I might be on TV. Let me just take a look. Am I on TV? Am I? Am I? Am I? I am. There's the church lady again. This one says, Tony's checking us out, and she goes, ah, come on now. All right. This, of course, I believe works at the airport. And this woman came to dry her hair. Nobody invades your personal space when you switch around like this. Now, this woman is having such a good time, she finally says, how long have I been dancing? She said, only 3 hours. 3 hours. All right, fine. All right. We had some good ones today. Look for yourselves next week. Some good ones today here. Oh, no. All right, and another new segment we have is called How Come You're Not on TV? so this is, we're trying to find people with interesting talent. It doesn't even really have to be talent, just something that you feel like you should be on TV for, that most people wouldn't put you on TV, but we don't care. So this comes from British Columbia, from Sean Hlukoff, South Slocan. Sean Hlukoff. It's H-L-O-O-K-O-F-F. Hlukoff. Hlukoff. Sean Hlukoff. Anyway, it's from Sean Hlukoff. Dear Ellen, Sean Hlukoff says, I was watching your show when you had Janet Jackson as your guest. There was a part in the show where you were using a Swiss exercise ball for your workout. I also use a Swiss exercise ball as part of my workout, but in a more extreme way. I hold the Guinness World Record for the longest time to stand on a Swiss ball. I broke the previous record of 2 hours and 10 minutes with a time of 3 hours, 16 minutes, and 6 seconds. Sincerely, Sean Hlukoff. All right, so let's take a look at what he sent us here. And I remind you, he's in Canada, so there's long, cold winters there. He's good, but look at her. She's fantastic back here. Now watch this. That's called cabin fever. That's, all right, so thanks a lot. We just recently asked people to send in videos. They're just seeing it now. There's a time delay. Yeah. But that was great. That guy certainly is on the ball, because we had just asked for him to send it. And so thanks a lot. ¿Cómo está?
Muchas gracias.
Yeah. Now, do you prefer Hey or Jay?
No, Jay is good.
Okay.
Jay, you know, with an Italian father and a Scotch mother growing up in New England, Cinco de Mayo couldn't be more important.
So what are you saying? You don't celebrate it?
I never heard of it till I came here, actually. I didn't know what it was.
In Boston, they don't celebrate it?
No, surprisingly, they don't.
No. And so now, your family is what? What's your mom? What's your dad?
My mother's from Scotland. Excuse me, my mother's from Scotland.
There's either a margarita and
That's just what you need when you're choking, a margarita.
or water.
My mother's from Scotland and my father's Italian. Yes, that was our heritage. Yeah.
Wow, and they couldn't be more different then.
No, they couldn't be more different. I mean, it was the most odd sort of, because my dad was very outgoing. My dad was always, get out there, let people know you're a Leno. Go out there, talk to the people. My mother would say, don't be loud and don't call attention to yourself. That was my mom. My mom, as I said, grew up in Scotland, and there was nothing worse than being the center of attention. To my mother, having your name called out in public, that's why it's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Mm-hmm. Because originally it was Tonight Show starring. My mom said, oh, starring. Oh, Mr. Big Star. You have to have your name all over. I got your name. She goes, why do you say starring? Why do you have to have name all over everything? I said it'll be Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Uh-huh. But when I was a kid, we would go to the market and things, and I would run away from my mom, and I'd go up to the manager. I go, I'm lost. Could you page my mother? And they go, with Mrs. Catherine Leno. My mother, oh. There was to hear her name on the PA, that was so embarrassing to her.
But, well, she must have changed she must have been proud to say, you know, this is my son when you were famous, right? I mean,
she never quite got it. I mean, if I had been in prison, she would have brought me soup every week.
Uh-huh.
Or I could have the Tonight Show. There was really no difference.
Oh, I see.
You know. I remember once the first time I did Carnegie Hall. I'm at Carnegie Hall, and I invite my parents to come, and my parents are sitting like about 4 rows back, dead center. I could see them from the stage. I could see them, and my mother, the lights, Yeah. So I'm on stage, and behind my mother are about 5 or 6 college kids. And at that time, I had done about 60 Letterman shows. And you had those certain routines, that people like to hear. So I started this one routine I'd done a bunch of times. I see these guys like this. And, they're just college, and they're laughing because they know what's coming. And my mother turns and goes, shh, shh. And I stopped the show. I go, stop. I go, Ma, you don't shush people at a comedy show. And like, to be singled out in Carnegie Hall. Oh, she's like hiding beneath the chair. This couldn't have been more embarrassing.
And she was quieting your audience down.
That's what she was. When I made it big, the first thing I did was I bought my dad a new Cadillac. Mm-hmm. And I take my dad down to Wentworth Motors in Andover to get a Cadillac. It's got to be the white Cadillac with the red interior because my dad's Italian. And I always remember the salesman saying, Mr. Leno, you want the regular interior or the interior de elegance? So my father says, oh, we want the interior de elegance. So he gets, it's, you know, it's got the big poofy, you know, velour interior. So my dad loved this Cadillac. But my mother was so embarrassed to ride. When they would go down the street, my mother would sit below the window level so people couldn't see him. And this was before cell phones. So my dad would, oh, what are you doing? Will you sit up? Will you sit up? And people would say, I saw your father talking to himself in the car. But when they would go, they would pull up to a light, and my mother was so self-conscious, she'd look over, and if she saw people looking at the car, she'd knock down, she'd go, we're not really Cadillac people. Our son got it. We're not Cadillac people. Our son, and my father, oh, what are you telling people we're not Cadillac people for? And the people would be frightened and drive away, so.
They sound like a lovely couple.
No, they were a lovely couple. They couldn't have been more suited. It was just, as a child, it was always funny to me to be caught between the two because they both wanted my attention, but in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, you want to please your mom, but you want to please your dad, and it was just a funny situation to be in.
Well, it's so funny, too, because when you get a lot of press, you know, I mean, my mother cuts out she keeps every magazine, every single thing. And they must have been, I mean, I know you were on the cover of Time magazine, which must have been...
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I'm on the cover of Time magazine. So I call my mother in Andover, and I go, Mom, I'm on the cover of Time. Now which one is that, the Time? I go, it's Time magazine. Now, is that, do we get that? Yeah, you get it, Ma. It's Time magazine. They had to go up to the newsstand. I said, oh, and I said, listen, when you're up there, I said, call Aunt Edie in New Rochelle and call Aunt Faye in New Jersey and tell them I'm on the cover of Time. And there's this long pause, you know. My mother says, you know, I think they put you on the cover for the ones around here because people know you're from this area. Because I don't know why they put you on the cover in New Jersey. I go, Ma, I'm not. She goes, I think it's just for this area. I go, Ma, they don't put you on the cover just for your area. I said, it's everywhere. I don't think so. Yeah, Ma, take my word, Ma. I'm on the cover everywhere. All right, I'll tell them, but I don't think, yeah, no, they are, Ma. Don't worry.
That's hilarious. Because that's the one, you want to please them. That's sort of, I mean, kind of why we all get into this business. There's something that we just want to go see, look what we're doing.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
No, and they were always very supportive. Although my mother never got the jokes. My mother would be, you know, she never quite understood what the joke. My mother would tell a joke like this. And so the man said, not with my wife. Anyway, this guy goes, you know, she'd always start with the punchline. You know the one about the man who said, not with my wife? No. Okay. And then the whole joke would be ruined. It would just be ruined.
Were they happy when they met? I mean, you're suddenly meeting famous people. Were they like, did that at least impress them? Like, oh, you know famous people, or?
Well, yes, I got Perry Como to come down from the stage and give my mom a kiss. I was a hero from that point on, because that was a real star, Perry Como.
Yeah.
They didn't know anybody knew. One time I was in New York, I was doing the Letterman show. I was on with Sting. So Sting was the featured guest, and I was the comic. So we're at the hotel, and we get on at, like, I don't know, the 15th floor, and it's just my parents and I in the elevator. We get on, like, one floor. Sting gets on the elevator, you know, and I see this coming. So I go, Sting goes, oh, Jay, how are you? I said, hey, Sting, how you doing? I said, Sting, this is my mom and dad. Mom and dad, this is Sting. My father goes, Stingman? Stingman is your name? Stingman? I go, no, it's not Stingman, Dad, it's Sting. Sting? Sting is the boy's name? And then he says to him, what the hell kind of name is Sting? I go, Dad, it's like a show business. What kind of name is that? Oh, leave the boy alone. I don't want to find out. Now my dad is yelling at Sting in the elevator. I'm just waiting. And we're only on the 9th floor. There are 9 floors more to go. It's like a nightmare.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. We have to take a break. We'll be right back right after that. We're back with Jay Leno. It's weird to say that.
Huh?
It's just so weird that I say we're back with Jay Leno. Because, I mean, we did stand up together years ago.
I know. We go back a long way.
And it's very weird to be sitting here doing this with you. And now you have a book called If Roast Beef Could Fly.
That's correct.
And
look how thick it is. It's like a strip of Arby's roast beef, actually.
So, and now that we know a little more about your family, it doesn't surprise us. It's based on a true story.
Actual true story, yes. My
All
relatives
right.
will tell you. My dad threw the roast beef out the window.
And why?
Well, I should explain. As again, I had a half Scotch, half Italian family. And the Italian side, every meal was a huge you know, I mean, gallons of sauce and hundreds of meatballs. And the Scotch side, when they would come, they couldn't be more offended by it. Look at the waste, Jamie, the waste in food. When I would go to my Aunt Nettie's house, she would give me a scone, which is like a Scotch cold biscuit, and a warm Coke. There's no reason to keep Coca-Cola in the refrigerator, Jamie. You're wasting money. It tastes just as good. And she would take it out of the cupboard and pour it in this warm Coke. So when it got any chance to have a big meal, it was like huge. So the particular story here was my dad was building a patio, and to celebrate, every time my dad did any chore around the house, everything would stop and we'd have to celebrate. Look, I put a new doorknob on. Look at this. Honey, come here, look at the knob. And everything was like that. So my dad built this patio, this flagstone patio, and we went out together and we bought a giant rotisserie. And my mom was going to cook this roast beef and have the whole family over. So the whole family comes over, and to make a long story short, my dad's cooking the roast beef, but I was a little kid, and I used to like to kind of, you know, stick your finger in the meat and get the juice, you know. But I couldn't reach the meat, so I took my comb out of my pocket, and I would, like, stick the end of the comb in, and I'm sucking the end of the comb. So what happened was, my mom had tied the roast beef up with string, and my comb got caught in the string, and I was like, ah. So now my comb is going around and around on the roast beef. So I just, you know, I'm a little kid, and I figured the best way to fix this, I'll run away. So I just run away, and I forget about it. So my dad, hey, the roast beef, come on, everybody, you know. So my dad carries this giant roast beef in, and he starts carving it, and he goes, what's that? And then clank, this big chunk of melted plastic falls off the roast beef, and it's all pink underneath. And my dad says, what's that? And I said, oh, it's my comb. Your comb? What's your comb? And he takes it, and he throws the roast beef out the window, and the whole family is, like, stunned. And then we look out, and the dogs have all torn the roast beef apart. And that's basically the story.
Oh.
But you're going to have to read the whole book.
Well, now we don't have to read it.
Now
That's the whole story. How can there be more in here?
Actually, that's one of the few stories.
That's hilarious.
There's a million stories like that, but that's just one of the ones in the book.
It's hilarious. Yeah, your family is it's very funny. Yeah, we can stand the entire time if you want.
Like a cocktail party.
We should. Yeah. Do you want some margarita?
Sure. I'm going for it.
All right, great. How have you
Cheers.
been?
Yeah. Cool.
Now, do you like the salt, actually?
Yes, I do. I think I asked for it.
Yeah, I don't really like the salt.
I love it.
Yeah, the salt to me is it's too salty.
It's good.
Yeah, I like the margaritas. They're good, right?
What's up? Have you been?
Very good. And you? I like that suit.
You know, I was a little insulted with the wheel thing.
Why?
Because I've met your mother. I've met you before. I was like, what happens if it's just supposed to be like, you know,
Like
I don't know, like not friendly.
like a bow or something.
Like, I don't know, yeah. Like something not natural.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been natural.
I would have been upset.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know a lot of the people here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I do. They're all from New York and New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, no, let's sit down. The very funny thing you just said about my mother.
Yeah.
My mother has a cell phone, which really she only has for, here's a napkin for you.
Thank
which
you.
she only really has for emergency. She never uses a cell phone. And one day she's shopping at Fred Siegel, and I get a phone call. What's the name of the woman that plays Tony Soprano's therapist? I said, Lorraine Bracco. Thank you, and hangs up. And you were there shopping, and she just wanted to walk over and say hi, and then she never did after all that.
Oh.
Yeah, she was like, oh yeah, and then
And that was it.
that was it. She was too shy, but it was hilarious that she called me and asked me. But anyway,
cute.
yeah. So
I happen to love parental
she's there
units.
now. You can say hi.
Hey,
Yeah,
how are
yeah.
you? I love parental units. I think they're very important. Like, you know, I share the same thing with Jay Leno. My father is Italian, but my mother is English. So it's that same crazy thing. They're the opposites for everything. One says white, the other one says blue, the other one says blue, the other one says white. It's unbelievable.
And now, what does that make you? How did that affect you? Are you more like one of them, or are you a combination?
Oh, I'm definitely more the Italian side than I am the English.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Please tell us.
going to be a long session.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely more the Italian. I think I would say differently if we lived in England. But since I was brought up in Brooklyn with all my father's family, I think it, you know, just makes a lot more sense.
Well, also, how is that for your English mother to be in Brooklyn? That must be a weird place for her to be with a lot of outgoing people.
She met him, she loved him, she took the boat over, she was stuck.
Yeah, right. Well,
you know, that's the way that goes.
Okay,
But
yeah, I guess.
you know, the meatball tea thing, that's exactly, you know, what Jay was saying before. You know, we had meatballs, and then Mom would say, you know, come in for tea. We'd be like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
It was nutty. It was a little nutty.
That's not how you usually call people for tea.
Yeah, but,
Come in for tea!
But, you know, living in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Right. Now, are they, like, I know you were just on Broadway and you were naked.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that something that everybody's cool
was
with?
fun.
Yeah? And you have daughters. How were they with you being naked?
They were weird.
Yeah. It would be weird to see.
Well, this is what I did. I told them that, first of all, it was lit so beautifully that even your mother would have looked beautiful, okay? And lighting is the key to a lot of things in Hollywood. Am I right?
Well, yes, but I don't think that I'd still be, like, scared to death to be naked no matter how beautifully I was lit.
And you see, you're in front of a live audience. I was more afraid of being in front of a live audience than I was afraid of being naked, because I've always worked in movies and TV. I'd never worked in front of a live audience.
Oh.
So it was a big thing for me to get over.
Right.
Anyway, the naked thing wasn't so bad. It was lit beautifully. But I did tell my children, who are 25 and 18, they're not little kids.
They're beautiful. This is them, right?
That's Stella and that's Margot.
Okay.
So I told them, look, it's really short. I do have this, you know, very small naked scene. You blink and it's over. And Margot comes back and says to me, yeah, I'm blinking and blinking and blinking, and you're still naked up there.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
But beautifully lit.
But beautifully
Yeah.
lit. They said I looked good for 50.
Yeah. Well, you do look great. You do look fantastic. So let's, we have to take a break. We'll be back right after this. So tell us about The Sopranos, which I watch every single week. Sunday night is a good night for me, because it's my
I do
HBO
too.
night.
I watch it. In the beginning, I used to watch it on tape, but you know, they used to send it to me. But now I experience it every Sunday night at 9 o'clock with everybody else. And
Yeah.
I love it. I have such a great time watching it. Not necessarily watching me, because that's, to me, yucky and boring. But I love to see what everybody else does with the script, how they acted certain roles, how they edited, what they put in, what they didn't put in. I mean, it's really exciting to me for that
Yeah.
whole creative process that I have nothing to do with.
It's great, and it's you and Tony Soprano, those characters. You kind of wonder, because there's so much sexual tension. Is it intense to work together like that, or is it fun? Do you laugh? Do you?
We have all kinds of moments. I mean, Jimmy's an incredible actor, and he's really difficult to break out of character. And he's serious. I mean, he comes in, he knows his lines, he knows what he wants to do, and he's very focused and committed. And since I'm not, it's so much fun to try to break him out of character. But it gets harder and harder. And I have a whole bunch of stories, but I will tell you one. I got a hold of the property master, Jeff Marchetti, and I asked him for the inflatable boobs. Did you ever hear about that?
Sure, I'm wearing them now.
And Jimmy's doing his lines, and the camera's on him, because that's what's fun to capture, is his, you know, his reaction to it. So committed, so intense, never noticed the boobs growing, okay?
Well, it's a great show. Everything about it. The opening, the song makes me happy just from the moment I sit down and start listening to the song.
Cool.
I love everything about it. So thank you for being here.